Hi, I'm Randy Kelly. I'm a registered architect with Balzer and Tuck Architecture. At Balzer and Tuck, we design high-end custom homes along with some commercial work, commercial and hotels. Here, I focus mostly on residential, creating mostly a lot of high-end lake homes is tend to what we get into, and it's it's fun kind of working through with clients and trying to figure out how to organize the spaces for them to maximize views and maximize how they're going to use the space, and then trying to create something that's aesthetically pleasing. It's always a challenge to kind of marry all the rooms and spaces and things that people are looking for and make it look attractive on the outside, and fit within constraints like site constraints and slopes and zoning issues. So it's a constant back and forth between clients and us to narrow down and come up with those solutions. So that's typically what I'm focusing on is helping people travel through that process of, hey, this is what we're looking for to here's the keys to your new house. That's typically kind of my day at architecture. So I think with construction projects with high-end residential, there's 1,000 different problems to solve when putting these types of buildings together. So it's coming in is always a different problem that you're trying to solve, and it's kind of what the design looks like. How do you make this thing look aesthetically pleasing, and then also how do you construct it? Really putting the nuts and bolts together, really defining and figuring out all those little pieces and every wall assembly and every floor assembly, insulation package, trying to really take the millions of different decisions that need to be made and working through them to get to an end goal of something that looks good and something that people are happy to live in. So I think what I love about what I do is that a lot of people don't really know what they're looking for when they come into kind of design a high-end home. It's they have an idea of like, oh, we need kitchen, living, dining room, but kind of how those things go together, how the space feels, kind of framing views out of the windows, and how do you orient the house to capture that, what the spaces feel like when you're in them with ceiling treatments and finishes. So I think the helping people kind of navigate that and coming to a final product is what really makes the job fun. So I think the general understanding of what architects do is, oh, we need to provide plans for someone to build from. I think the initial conception is that, hey, it's a pretty quick and simple process, and they don't really understand how much goes into it as far as figuring out all the pieces. So I think the biggest part is that it's not just a cut and dry, here's a floor plan, you guys are good to go. It is a process that you work through, from if there's existing conditions to conceptual design, getting at least initial concept figured out, all the way through kind of planning boards and town submissions and construction documents and working with the contractor in the field. Like it's an all-encompassing field through construction. Like really our job's not done until the keys are turned over to the client, which I think a lot of people think of. It's just floor plans and elevations that we put together and hand off to somebody, and then we're kind of hands off from there on. It's part of what makes the job fun is kind of seeing it all the way through the whole project. I came to Balzer and Tuck 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago now, and I've been in the architecture field for I'd say close to 10 years now. And just seeing kind of the projects that Balzer and Tuck was doing around, you kind of saw their sign everywhere, and all the projects turned out beautiful, with a lot of thoughtful design to them. So when I had the opportunity to start looking around to see what other opportunities there were in the area, Balzer and Tuck really stuck out to me as a place that I wanted to kind of develop in and learn that design and really trying to hone the craft of architecture. So I came here, about 3.5 years ago, and it's been a fantastic experience. There's been a lot of houses that I've worked on, and kind of each one is unique in the process and what the outcome was. So I think every house is fun to work on. I think one of the most unique ones that's not a house is working down at the Mohawk Mountain House on a massive addition down there, and just the complexities that go into it. That it was commercial kitchens and back of house stuff for a hotel, and it doesn't sound like the most glamorous thing, but the time and effort that went into it, it's kind of the one I like to kind of hang my hat on, is being complicated, and we figured it out and was able to really see that one come through, in a project that didn't have a real clear path forward to come to a solution that really helped out the whole resort, as far as their operations and needing it, as far as not guests don't really see it much, but as far as helping them get there for operations was night and day. I think the classic architecture quote is "form follows function," and I think every architect kind of lends to follow that quote, and really meaning that, like, figuring out what works best for people in a house or in a project, and letting the natural needs of how things work well inside kind of drive what the exterior aesthetic is. In houses, it's kind of, we always end up with this kitchen, dining, living room configuration with windows facing a lakeside typically. So it tends to lend us towards the same direction, but we're always looking for ways to rearrange things a little bit to try to find some unique situations and unique opportunities to change things up and try to make spaces that are unique for people, and don't just follow kind of the same path. Surprises people most of the time is that I grew up in the area. My family has a farm up in Queensbury. So people tend to not expect that I have cows in my backyard all the time and chickens running around. And I have two daughters, and they're always out there playing with them and collecting eggs. And it's a constant work at our house between my brother and my dad, and it's a real family affair. So it's typically, when people think of architects, they think of people in suits and in offices, and that's really not who I am. I'm a kind of country kid at heart, and that's what tends to, people don't expect that with the kind of houses and projects that we work on, that I got a farmhouse with a bunch of animals running around. So I think the best advice that I've been given is kind of don't expect that you know everything. So especially in this trade, architects are expected to know every piece of the building that we're working on in every trade, and that's just there's billions of different things and options and ways to do things, and you really have to lean on kind of contractors and subconsultants to really get knowledge from them and trust their expertise. And it really makes for better projects to do it that way. So it's never expect that you always have the right answer. It's always a collaborative effort and a teamwork to get to an end goal.